Hello. Once upon a time, I was 5 years old, and I was given the opportunity to play Mary in my elementary school's Christmas play, which is kind of a big deal. If you know anything about the Christmas story, Mary is a sort of integral part of that. But I had a really big problem with accepting the role. Mary's costume was sort of this shapeless, boxy peasant garb, as was befitting her character. And I just did not want to wear that up on stage or really ever. Instead, I wanted to be an angel. Any guesses why? Angels got to wear beautiful white dresses, wings, and most importantly to me, a gold, shiny halo headband, head accessory. And so I turned down that role and instead accepted one as part of the ensemble cast. And that is the face of a very satisfied 5-year-old who was feeling very good about her fashion choice that day, and whispering all the secrets to my then best friend, Sarah Falkenstein. So that was really the beginning, or at least the beginning of what I remember of my life. In middle school, I was editor-in-chief of our school magazine, The Edge. It was very intense, The Edge, which afforded me the opportunity to put a lot of my work into the magazine. And so I would write these short fiction pieces, usually with some sort of occasion, a dress-up occasion, a dance, a date, every teen girl's fantasy, into these fiction pieces. And in reading them, I realized that what I'd actually done is spent the majority of the story focusing very explicitly on what each character was wearing. So paragraphs and paragraphs, if you read these, of all of the characters' various outfits throughout whatever the plot was. You'll see me, I couldn't pick one outfit for 8th grade graduation. Couldn't decide between the dress and the pantsuit. It's an issue that we women face sometimes. And anyway, there I am graduating from 8th grade. So flash forward to college. In college, I dyed my hair pink, all kinds of colors, actually. I ended up doing a combined major in media studies, which was basically film at my school, and gender feminist studies. And I went to a small, tiny liberal arts college. It was a little more hippie than haute couture, and they didn't really know what to do with me. But I didn't let that stop me. So I actually petitioned to be able to go to the London College of Fashion for my study abroad. And it was there that I took a fashion promotions course. And then I came home and promptly forgot how much I loved that fashion promotions course and went on with my life. I ended up doing an undergraduate thesis exploring the relationship between various waves of feminism and the fashion industry, and also women and their relationship to clothing. I did a documentary. I did this fashion installation you'll see there called Fashion Playground, as well as a written paper. In grad school, I discovered that there was this thing out there called public relations. It was a job that you could have, and it sounded like a job that might be a good fit for me. So I did kind of what I always do. It's like, okay, how can I look at public relations through the lens of fashion? And I tried, and there wasn't really anything available about it. There wasn't anything online, nothing in the trade journals, certainly not in the academic journals, about this particular niche. And so I took it upon myself to write a piece of original research. I explored all different methodologies, looked at fashion marketing, looked at dress studies, PR theory, feminist PR theory, went to New York to interview practitioners, all with the goal of sort of positing that fashion public relations was just as strategic and interesting and valuable a niche as any of the others that were being taught. And then I realized that that thesis was probably not going to get read by many people. And I was still really curious about the job. I had about 2 years of experience at that time working for a jewelry company. I'd graduated with my master's, and I just wanted to continue that conversation. I wanted to continue to connect. So PR couture it started as a blog. We don't have to call it a business. It started as a blog. And at that point, I was really just trying to create content, to create a place where people like me could come and find out more information about this profession. So I didn't start out as an expert. I simply was curious. And so to begin, I'd like to invite you to think about what you're curious about. Maybe it was something that you've been curious about since you were a kid. Maybe it's a new curiosity that has recently come up and you'd like a little bit of time to explore it. For me, it's been about how we communicate things with our clothing. It's been about this sort of dumb idea that because fashion is sort of worn superficially on the body, that somehow makes those who study it or enjoy it also superficial. That one really bugs me. For me, it's so connected to culture, to history, to activism, to play, and it just gets kind of pushed aside, and I think that's unfortunate. And then finally, this idea of why we wear what we wear. What's going on behind the scenes in that kind of brand-consumer relationship, and the people behind the scenes even more so who are driving those conversations, often through communication or through visual media that get us to say, I'm this, I'm not that. I'll wear this, I won't wear that. Lately, because I'm a curious person, if you haven't caught that already, I became curious about curiosity itself. So today I want to share with you 3 things that I have learned about curiosity that have sort of blown my mind. And then, assuming there's enough time, I'm going to run you through about 3 of our most recent and top performing initiatives that have happened through Pierre Couture as a result of simply my own curiosity or that of my community. So first up, I want you to know that curiosity and being curious is actually a really yummy thing to do for your brain. It activates this part of your brain that connects to romantic love. It's a space that's full of all these neural transmitters that are full of dopamine, which is the same goodness that happens when you fall in love, have sex, eat an amazing meal. I'm not saying that curiosity could replace, let's say, ice cream or finding your soulmate, but I am saying that engaging in that intellectual curiosity can be a way of giving yourself a little bit of goodness. Studies also show that people who engage in intellectual curiosity throughout their lives can actually reduce their mental decline by over 1/3. So it's not only good for you to do right now in the short term, but it's actually something really good to do for your long-term self as well. I like to say that curiosity is like champagne for your brain, all of the bubbly goodness, but none of the hangover. The other thing to know is that curiosity is not sort of a one-size-fits-all definition. In my pursuit, I discovered a British journalist by the name of Ian Leslie who wrote a book shockingly called Curiosity, and in it he defines curiosity in these 3 ways. First, we've got diversive curiosity, which is why you can't help but click on that link to see what the cast of Mean Girls looks like all grown up. And why my toddler just seems to always want to know what will happen if he pulls the cat's tail a little bit harder. Answers being kind of the same as they looked before, and a scratch on the nose right before picture day. So that kind of curiosity, it's all about novelty, right? But it can also be translated, if you go a little bit deeper, it can become a space of true, what is called epistemic curiosity. And that is really the desire for intellectual and cultural exploration. And I think that's all of us here have probably a higher than average natural proclivity for trying to answer those questions and to be curious in that way. So the friend of epistemic curiosity is empathic curiosity. We all probably share that as well. That's the desire to really want to understand what it's like to be in somebody else's minds, hearts, and yes, even their shoes on occasion. And so those kind of work together. And in business, those are necessary. You need to have an area of specialization, of interest, and you need to also be curious about yourself and your audience, the people that you're engaging with, and in the larger kind of social construct as well. So the other thing about empathic curiosity is that it's something that we have the ability to turn off and turn on. And when we turn it off, we are at risk. And from my experience, It gets turned off when we focus too much on the administration and the minutia of our business. It gets turned off when we start focusing on a marketing tactic that everyone says we should be doing, but that makes us, want to hide under the bed for a month. And that's dangerous. That puts us out of servitude. We've heard a lot of people talking about the value of service. And to be in true service of your audience, you need to be curious about their need state, their emotions, their experiences. The third thing is that epistemic curiosity has this kind of sweet spot. So curiosity requires us to know what we don't know. In that, there is always going to be a level of tension and a lack of satisfaction. But it is almost the I know enough to know what I don't know experience that drives us to be curious about learning more. Studies have shown that the sweet spot for curiosity is people who know a little bit about something, but not too much. So I think that's interesting for us to think about in terms of what we're feeling drawn to in our business, as well as the state of mind of our audience. The sweet spot for engagement, conversion, growth, all of that is likely to be in the spaces where our audience knows just enough, but not too much, and not so much that nothing so that it feels completely overwhelming. The other thing about curiosity, we talk a lot about authenticity in this space, in the digital space specifically. Be authentic. I found that it is very challenging to be inauthentic when you are naturally sharing what you are curious about with your audience. So there's that that quote, right? Luck favors the prepared. You've already asked yourself a ton of sort of curiosity-driving questions, likely. So what if life wasn't sitting down to somebody else's chair and having a job that is soul-sucking? What might that feel like? Where are the places that people are in pain, and I might have information that might help solve that or alleviate that? How can I entertain somebody and just bring a little bit of joy and lightness to their day? Who are my right people? What do they need? What do they think they need, and what do I think they need? And how can we kind of pull that together to create something amazing together? Going back to my business a little bit, we've been around now for 12 and a half years. In that time, we have probably tried, I would say, 90% of the tactics that are seemingly out there for this kind of a business. We've done physical products, we've done digital products, I self-published a book. We've done a variety of opt-ins. We have done in-person workshops. We have done online workshops. We have done webinars. We even got involved in a reality web series last year. And in all of that, it's really, for me, about keeping my mind open to the possibility and never being too focused on my plan that I don't leave room for amazing things to pop up. And I keep that sort of element of play and adventure in everything that we're doing. So one of the problems in our industry is that what you learn in school is not very relevant. So one of the things that we did, as many of us do, we built out a signature course. That signature course, was intended to address some of these questions. We started it as an email course. We iterated it. We moved on to a teaching platform. We've now had hundreds of students go through this course. They're now working for the top fashion magazines and the top PR agencies. They're connecting with one another. They're collaborating. This, to me, this testimonial about Pierre Couture feeling like the big sister you never had means more to me than any of the other sort of accolades, because that's really what we have attempted to do. So Prism is our highest revenue driver. And more than that, it is actually changing the nature of this industry. It is giving people a place to get specialized knowledge in a way that also then turns out better talent for the industry as a whole. Another thing that we recently launched last year was an award program. So again, instead of waiting for somebody else or one of the bigger guys to realize how cool fashion and lifestyle PR is and give us an opportunity to contribute our work in some sort of way for recognition, that just wasn't going to happen, so we created it ourselves. Since then, we've attracted some really impressive agencies and brands, as well as sponsors, which is really gratifying. And it's growing year over year. Being able to be in a position where we are not only boosting our own credibility as a brand and a company, but also providing valuable recognition makes this work meaningful to me, more than just the trophy. Finally, we've got the PR Couture Council. So I was in a place last year where I was kind of feeling like we needed to grow. I was sort of up against a wall. When you've been writing about the same thing and thinking about the same niche for 12 years, you start feeling a little bored. And I needed to not feel bored. And so I was looking for places where I was feeling curious. And we have a community of publicists. Publicists are amazing people. They know all kinds of people. They're natural connectors. They're naturally helpful. So I wanted a way where I could take what I had already created and invite our community members to come in and actually sort of co-create the future of the company when we hit our 10-year mark. So the council is sort of it's an interesting, I think, new model. It's a paid advisory network where in exchange for visibility and mentorship and support, business support and strategy, we also get to tap into a network of 12 incredible boutique agency owners in order to get access to content, to people to interview, and I get to rely on their expertise to help me understand where are the blocks and where are the struggles for them in business so that I can build out more valuable content. I'm pretty set on our entry level, talking back to this idea of the tension. I'm good with entry level, I'm good with emerging designers. I know a little bit about the boutique agency owner audience because I worked for one and I run my own business. But that's the place where I kind of had a big question mark. So this was a way for me to get answers to that and to be able to explore that in more of a collaborative environment. So I hopefully have gotten to the point where you are feeling excited about the idea of sort of reinvigorating your relationship to your own creativity. Perhaps this has reaffirmed why it is actually to your benefit to give yourself space and permission to prioritize your own community in your life. Curiosity can be really effective within your organizations. It's where you are able to model a culture of question asking, which is where you start to uncover sort of the problem solving and the solutions that are available that come out of places where you wouldn't expect. It's where you are able to sort of connect the dots. If you can take a step back from the task at hand and constantly be asking, is this the best way? Is this even the right problem for us to be solving? You can start to model that kind of culture and you'll find that more innovations are coming out of your own brain and the brains of your team members. And that comes from making room for curiosity amidst all of the day-to-day of what we need to do to make the business run. Finally, I think that there's an energy to curiosity that can remove some of the pressure of entrepreneurship. Sometimes we can feel so, like if we commit to one thing, we're sort of settling in and we're committing forever. Like, okay, now I have a video, now I have a live stream strategy, that's what we're doing. No, we're not going to do that over here. It's really all about, it's not about the online course in a 10-week format. It's really going to be short, mini courses, and we get all in our heads about it. And if we just sort of let ourselves be adventure-seeking through our curiosity to say, hey, let's give this a try. Let's see if this works out. You're not as emotionally connected to the outcome, and it gives you a little bit of room to play and to actually enjoy the process as opposed to being so incredibly focused on the outcome. So to close, I want you to remember that curiosity is champagne for your brain. Give it lots of good bubbly. If authenticity is the track, curiosity is the train. If you are interested in building a community of people who are inspired by you, who follow you, who are in this with you for the long term, use your own curiosity to invite them into the experience with you. And then remember that curiosity, though not spell check, is contagious. So make it a part of your domain. Model curiosity in your teams, in your organizations, in your families, and you will reap the rewards. And if that didn't convince you, I would just hearken you back to Mr. Einstein, who said that he has no special talents, he is only passionately curious. And I would say that we right now deeply need your curiosity. I need it, your audience needs it. Curiosity can be its own form of rebellion. It's about going against the status quo. And that is something that I think we can all feel called to and to work on together by leading and prioritizing our curiosity. Thank you very much.